was to give Brian O'Neill a little help with his golf game. He's been a project of mine for 5 years, and he's just starting to show a little progress. And I am concerned that Brian cannot handle the task of pushing away from the table soon enough. And I think he's well on his way to becoming a sumo wrestler, and I think he's got a pretty good chance of becoming that. But his golf teaching skills are enormous.
Well, hi there, I'm Jack Berry, and here I am with Brian O'Neill from Boyne Highlands. He's a master teacher up there, especially of terrific young people, and he picked up a lot of valuable tips from the late Jim Flick, who was one of the great teachers of all time in golf and has thusly been recognized in various halls of fame. And so Brian became very close to Jim and got a lot of good words from Jim. So let's tell us about it, Brian.
Well, yeah, thanks, Jack. I have been very fortunate to have been in the company of Jim Flick to begin with, and you know, I think back to when our relationship, you know, really started, and I was 14 years old at the time when the Golf Digest schools came to Boyne. My duty at the time was the range boy. And what the range boy does during the Golf Digest schools at that time, he sets up all the white chairs and gets all the golf balls out there, makes sure everything's, you know, the tees are there and everything's good for Jim and the team when they come. And so I was lucky, actually. I got to sit there and basically take part in the school without having to pay the high dollar at the time, you know. So I thought, well, I'm going to listen. And so I listened intently and watched what was going on and watched Jim, you know, demonstrate all these drills that he was going to put these people through. And at the end of the day, then my job was then to clean things up and get it set up for the next day. And after I was done doing that, I started trying some of the drills that Jim was showing. And Jim came back later that evening as I was on the range doing that, and he saw me. And he took a keen interest in who's this junior range boy over here trying all my drills. And from that point on, Jim and I became incredible friends over the years, and he instilled in me the passion to learn how to teach the game of golf and promote the game of golf over the years, and I've been, like I said, very fortunate to spend the time that I've had with him.
When did you graduate from the range boy?
You know, I don't think you ever really do as a teaching professional. I'm still a range rat now, and that's great, and that's where I'm most comfortable, and that's where Jim was most comfortable. And you know, we talk about what are some of the lessons you learned from Jim, and I guess the biggest thing is through feel. He was a field teacher. Learn how to tell the golf club and the club face, tell the ball what to do and where to go and how to do that, and teach people through feel and ball flight. And I think Jim was incredible that way. He never had an ego that was intimidating to me or his students or to, you know, the average Joe, and he made it fun. And I think most of all, that's where it really revels in my teaching, is it's all about fun.
So your students must be pretty happy then. They always leave with smiles.
Well, not always, but you know, after some time we get them there. But we joke around. I mean, it's just a tough game. It's a tough game, and if you can't have fun and laugh while you're doing it, then you find something else to do. And that's something Jim always told me. And you know, he said, Brian, I've given people their money back before, you know, and he said the reason being is your $100 isn't going to change my life, sir or ma'am, and Jim would tell me, and he would give it back to them. If you're not going to have fun doing this, then what's the use? And so that would usually break the ice, and it's a story I retell often. So,
well, tell us a little bit about some of the people that you're working with, some of the kids.
Well, interestingly enough, Jim Flick's legacy is in junior golf, and that was really his passion the last 15 years of his life, and he'll be dearly missed. You know, he just passed away in November, and through that I kind of took over the same passion, and I work with kids as young as 6, now all the way up until, you know, they're juniors in college, and I'm referring to maybe my more well-known student is Joey Garber, who was the highest-ranked junior to come out of Michigan in 20 years in the world ranking, AJGA, whatever those rankings, Polo Junior rankings, and he went to play golf at University of Michigan, played there his freshman year, and then transferred to Georgia. He's a Georgia Bulldog now. Loves it. Absolutely loves it. He's really excelled. Georgia's coach is amazing. I mean, you know, you think of some of the players that have come out of there. Bubba Watson maybe be the one that would be most notable, and so Joey's in an atmosphere now that that I think if he does want to take his career to the next level, he can. And so I have a Joey Garber who I started working with at 5 years old. I have a PJ Maybank who's 6 years old from Sheboygan, Michigan, who potentially could be better than Joey. And, you know, from the lessons I learned from Jim, I'm teaching these kids how to hit shots, you know, and it's less video, more watching what the ball does, teaching them, you know, how to shape one shot this way and make adjustments on the fly.
And who has more fun watching the way the ball is shaped than Bubba?
Absolutely.
and I mean, you certainly wouldn't call him with the sweet swing or anything like that. So obviously, he's a field player.
No question, and you know that really revolves around what Jim's philosophy was is teaching by feel and using the face of the golf club to hit certain shots. And you know, talking about Bubba and some of the shots, that shot he hit at Augusta was amazing. It was amazing. Well, as kids, and Jim always encouraged this, see if you can make the ball curve 50 yards from right to left or left to right. And you know, there wasn't a whole lot of video back in the day when he was teaching that, and when technology came into play, Jim was a little slower to take to it, but he did, and he says, you know, don't overuse video, Brian. Don't overuse video. You're going to get your head stuck in the computer and takes the focus away from what really is at hand here, and that's teaching people how to use the golf club and the instrument, Jim would call it. So,
do you find a lot of interest among the young players? I mean, everybody in golf is looking for for more players. Now, are there a lot of young players that you work with and see?
Yeah, I think you know, with the onset of all these good young junior players, and Jim Flick took a big role in that. You know, you have a Bo Hostler who qualified for the United States Amateur at the age of 14, and kids are seeing this. You know, they're not watching it, you know, and so they watch that, they think, wow, that's pretty cool. He can do that. Now I can do that too. And then like a Ricky Fowler at the time, you know, and these people are branding themselves, and it looks cool and it looks fun. It is an athletic movement. It's a tough, challenging sport, and I think kids are taking to it more. And I'm finding more and more kids coming to our Nike junior camps at Boyne, and you know, I work probably throughout the summer with over 200 kids under the age of 18, so it's fun. It is really, truly fun, and I do think that junior golf is growing, and I expect that to continue.
Oh, that's good. It's like a couple of years ago, Tiger was in problems looking for the perfect swing. I mean, here was a guy who won everything, and now he's messing around with his swing.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Again, one of the best lessons I think I've learned, you know, from Jim, is the pursuit of the perfect swing will never actually ever happen for anybody. He said, and unfortunately, you try to make a swing look pretty, it's not very effective all the time. And Jim always told me, he says, there's a lot of really pretty golf swings out there on tour that can't make any money. So, you know, that goes right back to his philosophy of, you know, teaching how to use the face of the golf club and not trying to make your swing look perfect. It's simply trying to hit golf shots.
It's like the slightly older times, Miller Barber, who was, you know, he loop it all around, and Jim Furyk now, and guys that don't necessarily don't have the real pretty swings, and they're making a lot of money winning tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. There's a lot of ways to do it, and you know, and I think that's the one unique thing is when you're asked what your philosophy is on teaching the game. Could be a hard question to answer, but in reality, it's A, make it fun, and B, teach people how to use the instrument to get the ball to do what they want it to do, and from there, it's fun, and everybody's different. There's a lot of ways to do it. A lot of ways to swing the golf club.
Do you encourage these kids to get out there and beat balls?
You know, yeah, we actually go on the golf course a lot more, and that's something, again, that Jim instilled in me. He says, don't spend too much time on the range. Take your kids out on the golf course, see how they perform out there in varying conditions, and they'll have more fun doing that as well. And yeah, when we're on the range, yeah, we do some drills. You know, one to help kids hit it further. We teach them to hit drivers off their knees or sitting in a chair. You know, those are drills that Jim taught me years ago that have a tremendous positive effect on teaching people how to use their hands, wrists, and arms to swing the golf club, and it does actually create more speed. I mean, 80% of your distance comes from your hands, your wrists, and your arms. The other 20 comes from the ground and your leg work and your base. And so you take those types of lessons and drills that Jim showed me years ago, and you put kids on the range and put them in those environments and those situations, my gosh, they really learn, and they have fun doing it because they think they're messing around, but they're really learning quite a bit. But we go on the golf course quite often.
And then you go on the golf course and you like to see the result. And not just the flat-out range out there on the course. You can see you got some hills and slopes and bunkers and water and.
Yeah, I mean, and let's face it, the attention span of juniors is not the longest in these days. You know, we live in the world of immediacy where, you know, they have phones that can get answers to questions. They can text their mom and dad about having Billy over for the night or whatever and get an answer right away. They want to see results, you know, and so hitting range balls one after that is kind of boring. It's boring for me, it's boring for them. It's more fun to get them on the golf course, and, you know, and I've taken to that philosophy very aggressively. So we do go on the golf course at every chance we get.
Hi, I'm Mark Nally. I came to camp because I'm trying to get more consistent, shoot lower, and I've been working on keeping my arms separated from the shoulders to help get a more consistent ball flight and a little more distance.
Hi, I'm James Fabiano, and I came to the camp to get better. And I've been working on my swing plane and coming through out and flipping my arms over so I can get like a little draw on it.
Hi, I'm Will Schumacher, and I came to the camp to learn how to hinge my wrists and get more on my swing path to get higher ball flight and more distance.
Man, I'd like to follow you, Brian.
Well, we have fun, and I think that's the biggest, you know, thing I'd like to you know, carry on Jim's legacy with what I do and what I teach. Is it's a fun environment, it's effective. We're going to go out and learn how to play the game as it should be taught right from the dirt.
But to each of you, thanks for being here this morning. The way I like to teach is I like to explore your mind a little bit and have you do some inventory, because golf is a trial and error process for each of us to go through. As we try things, we find out what works for us. There's no magic formula. Nothing works. The same thing does not work for everybody.
what are some of the lessons you learned from Jim, and I guess the biggest thing is through feel. He was a field teacher. Learned how to tell the golf club and the club face, tell the ball what to do and where to go and how to do that, and teach people through feel and ball flight. And I think Jim was incredible that way. As young as 6, now all the way up until they're juniors in college, and I'm referring to maybe Joey Garber, who was the highest ranked junior to come. Transferred to Georgia. He's a Georgia Bulldog now. Loves it. Absolutely loves it. He's Bubba Watson maybe be the one that would be most notable, and so Joey's in an atmosphere who's 6 years old from Sheboygan, Michigan, who potentially could be better than Joey. And from the lessons I learned from Jim, I'm teaching these kids how to hit shots. And it's less video, more watching what the ball does, teaching them, no question. And that really revolves around what Jim's philosophy was, is teaching by feel and using the face of the golf club to hit certain shots. And talking about Bubba and some of the shots, that shot he hit at Augusta was amazing. It was amazing. Well, as kids, and Jim always encouraged this, you have a Bo Hostler who qualified for the United States Amateur at the age of 14. Fowler at the time, and these people are branding themselves.
Miller Barber, who was, you know, he loop it all around, and Jim Furyk now.